Shocking truth, how husbands are silenced in modern love, never told until now. In the dramatic world of love, deep secrets fester, and there's one that's buzzing behind closed doors. Picture this, a young husband named Adam, who felt trapped in a fabric of lies spun around him by the very heart he cherished. Yes, that's right. What if I told you that in this modern age, men are often silenced by the sweetest words of love? It sounds insane, but as the clock struck midnight, vivid shadows flickered across their bedroom walls, whispering truths he was too terrified to admit. The walls seemed to pulse, throbbing with unspoken words, as if the house itself was a witness to a dark tale waiting to unfold. On a bright morning, Adam opened an innocuous text from his wife, Sarah. But when he glanced at the screen, it wasn't a sweet message. No, it was a demand, placed there with cold precision: you need to start doing more around the house, or we'll have to talk. The words clawed at his insides, tightening like a vice. Was this a partnership or a prison? It felt like she held a gavel, ready to sentence him for crimes he didn't commit. And that little voice in his head? It whispered horror stories about love turning sour, about betrayal lurking just around the corner. Every night, Adam found himself staring into the shadows, playing over every interaction they had. The question gnawed at him: could husbands really be silenced? Was he just a ghost in his own life? Men across America were beginning to share their own tales, how they felt like they were losing their voices, fading into the background. Every man's worry crept back into popular conversations but quickly hushed, almost as if it was taboo to speak up. The pressure built like steam in a kettle, ready to burst. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Returning to the haunting silence of their home, the atmosphere thickened. Adam decided to confront the deep-rooted fears plaguing his marriage. Something felt wrong, and he could no longer ignore it. Was love meant to feel this suffocating? He could hear the hollow echo of laughter from their wedding years, now drowned out by the weight of unspoken grievances. The door creaked open gently, revealing Sarah standing there, her expression indecipherable. In that suspended moment, they were both poised on the edge of a precipice. As he took a trembling breath, eyes locking with hers in a battle of wills, Adam felt the tightness in his chest swell. Would he find the courage to speak? Or would he remain a whisper in the shadows? The world felt like it was holding its breath, awaiting an answer that might change everything. The silence stretched, each second feeling like a lifetime. Adam's heart raced as he searched her eyes for any hint of reassurance. Instead, he found a storm brewing, ready to unleash fury he didn't understand. The air was thick with unspoken accusations, and he could feel the weight of every unsaid word hanging between them. Sarah's voice was low but firm, cutting through the tension like a knife. Why are we avoiding the truth? Her question hit him hard. Avoiding the truth? He echoed, frowning. What truth? That I'm doing my best. The words erupted from him before he could think. It felt like a plea, an attempt to claw back some control in a situation spiraling out of his grasp. Your best isn't enough anymore, Sarah replied, her brow furrowing, frustration evident in her tone. I'm tired, Adam. I work all day just like you. But it feels like I come home to a second job. Each word pierced through the crumbling foundation of his self-worth. Then tell me what you need. Adam raised his voice, surprised by his own intensity. I can't read your mind. In that moment, a flicker of resentment broke through the fear that paralyzed him. But was it too late? The flicker of anger in Sarah's eyes momentarily faltered. I shouldn't have to tell you. You should just know. Her voice trailed off, leaving behind the unspoken fears of expectations unfulfilled. The room felt like it was closing in on him. He wanted to scream, to burst out with everything he held inside. The fear had grown into an unbearable knot in his stomach, one that threatened to rupture. Why does it always come back to me? Why can't you see how I feel? For a heartbeat, silence enveloped them again. Their breaths mingled amidst the fray of raw emotion echoing through the space. Adam felt the heat of hope, buried under layers of hurt. Maybe this could be a turning point. Maybe if they could just be honest, things would change, but just as the possibility flickered, the front door swung open violently, making them jump apart as a shadow loomed in the entrance. It was David, his friend, with a face that held panic. "Adam! You need to come outside now." The word sent a chilling shiver up Adam's spine. What could possibly be that urgent? As he stepped past Sarah, her expression etched with confusion, he caught a glimpse of fear reflected back in her eyes that threatened to tear at his resolve. "What is going on?" Adam demanded, stepping into the dying light of the evening. David, usually the embodiment of calm, seemed shaken to the core. "Something's happened. It's about Sarah." The chill gripped Adam harder than any fear he'd ever known. Instinct kicked in, and adrenaline surged through him. "What do you mean, about Sarah?" David hesitated, scanning the street, as if expecting shadows to leap out from the encroaching dusk. "Just come. You need to see this." Adam's heart plummeted, dread washing over him in waves. Was this the catalyst that would unravel the delicate threads of their already tense lives? He turned back to Sarah, who stood framed in the doorway, worry etched in her features. Her lips parted, as if she were about to speak, but the words wouldn't come. As Adam stepped away, a sound echoed from behind his phone buzzed violently on the countertop. He hesitated, caught between the immediate urgency of David and the unsettling mystery lying in wait on the screen. Time seemed to fracture, pulling Adam in two directions, one hand beckoning him back to Sarah, the other pushing him forward into an abyss of uncertainty. What revelation lay ahead and who else would get hurt in its wake? He looked back at her, heart pounding in his chest. Would he regret not figuring this out now? Or would the truth shatter everything they had left? And as he followed David into the darkening street, he couldn't shake the feeling that something horrifying awaited him, a discovery that could either heal or dismantle. What terrible truths lay just beyond the horizon? Adam stepped outside, the biting night air hitting him like a slap. David was already striding toward the end of the driveway, glancing back as if the shadows were whispering threats right behind them. Adam felt the urgency clenching his throat. Just moments ago, everything felt ready to shatter, and now it was swirling into chaos. What happened? He pressed, keeping pace with David's rapid strides. The streetlights flickered overhead, creating eerie halos that danced in the encroaching darkness. "There's a crowd down the block." David's voice shook just enough to tell Adam this wasn't a simple matter. They turned a corner, and the scene unfurled like a brutal painting. Several neighbors stood gathered, their hushed murmurs weaving a tapestry of fear. Adam caught snippets. "Did you see? They found him." Each whisper felt like a punch to the gut. David slowed, eyes widening. He didn't need to say anything. They both knew something was wrong. They stepped into the throng, and the crowd parted like the Red Sea, revealing a figure lying motionless on the pavement. A chill swept over Adam. Blood, it coated the ground, dark and pooling like spilled ink. His breath hitched as he recognized the jacket. It was Sarah's. "Is that?" He couldn't finish the thought, the words stuck like a lump in his throat. "It's about Sarah," David managed to bite out, face pale under the flickering streetlight. Then, a small, desperate voice cried out, slicing through the tension. "Why isn't anyone helping him?" A woman knelt, frantic, as she clutched her phone, fingers fumbling to dial for help. Adam moved closer, feet dragging in the thick air, fighting against the instinct to run. As he approached, the flickering lights revealed the person on the pavement, a man, bloodied but undeniably alive. Somehow. The sight rattled Adam. Don't get too close. David shouted, grabbing Adam's elbow, but it was too late. Adam was frozen, eyes fixating on the face before him. It carried a twisted familiarity. Wait, that's Mark. Adam's heart raced with confusion. Mark was Sarah's brother. It all crashed over him. The unanswered calls and abrupt silences, had this been the truth hiding in the shadows? He felt sick. Why was he here, on the sidewalk, fighting through a chunk of raw panic and emerging revelations? Did Sarah know? Whispers crackled through the crowd again, but Adam's focus was on Mark's eyes. They flickered open, struggling to find clarity as they met Adam's. Help Sarah, he gasped, words barely escaping his lips with each strained breath. That single name came out like a haunting echo, and the world spun around Adam. Every question he'd held on to like a lifeline about his and Sarah's relationship, their fading warmth, pressed sharply against the raw chaos unfolding in front of him. Before he could react, sirens wailed in the distance, signaling help. But for Adam, the frantic question remained: what had happened with Mark? What would this mean for Sarah? Would he plunge back into the depths of their conflict, or would this dark night awaken buried truths that could finally bring some clarity? The sirens drew closer, and panic wrapped around Adam like a vice. What other terrifying truths awaited them? The sirens wailed, a banshee-esque call piercing the night. Shadows flickered beneath the streetlights, where faces twisted in concern and fear. Adam felt disoriented, his heart pounding in his ears, drowning out the chaos. David pressed closer, urgency etched into his features. We need to get help here. He called out to anyone who would listen, but the murmurs of the gathered crowd only grew louder, a cacophony of confusion. Mark's eyes darted as he struggled to remain conscious, blood seeping from an unholy gash on his forehead. Sarah, she needs help. His voice cracked like dry twigs, barely escaping his lips. Each word felt like a dagger slicing through Adam's chest. Mark, just hold on. Adam shouted, barely aware of the frantic bystanders inching closer, drawn like moths to the eerie glow of the scene. What happened? He bent down, urgent need pushing him forward, desperate for answers, but Mark's eyelids fluttered. It wasn't me, I didn't she was. Adam couldn't decipher the rest. Panic surged as Mark's voice faded into strained gasps. His body seemed to slump, the fight draining out of him. Adam felt a burning need to shake him into clarity. No, stay with me. What do you mean? She was. Suddenly, the crowd erupted. A moment of jostling, whispers turned to shouts, and Adam spun around. An unfamiliar figure burst through the gathered neighbors, a woman with wild hair and panicked eyes. Get back. Move away. She yelled, hovering over Mark, her hands trembling as she fumbled in her bag for something. Who the hell are you? David demanded as he shielded Adam from the sudden chaos. I'm a nurse. I can help. The woman's voice trembled, raw and frantic. The wavering authority brought a flicker of hope amidst the frenzy. Adam turned back to Mark, feeling the weight of their shared history pressing down. He'd known him as a brother in arms, a mentor. But tonight, Mark looked broken. Just hold on, please. Get help. He pleaded, a lump forming in his throat. Mark's eyes flickered open once more, dark and pleading. You don't understand. I saw her. They took her, Adam. They were here. His voice faded, leaving a hollow echo hanging in the still air. What do you mean, who took her? Adam's breathing quickened, every nerve in his body humming alive with fear. A sudden commotion erupted at the end of the street. A group of men emerged, shadows shifting together, their faces shrouded in darkness. Clenched fists and furtive movements stirred a primal fear in Adam. The sight ripped through the crowd, turning whispers into screams as people began to scatter. Get back. Everyone, get back. Yelled the nurse, forcing her way toward Mark as some neighbors stumbled backward, eyes wide with terror. Adam's heart raced. Who were these men? Why were they here? Adam. David shouted, urgency lacing his tone. We can't stay here. But Adam felt rooted to the spot, torn between the frantic cries for help and the dangerous shadows approaching. Mark's breaths grew shallow, a rhythmic gasp like a clock ticking down. Time was slipping away. What did you see? Adam asked urgently, focused on Mark. I saw them in her room, the whispers. Mark's voice slurred, a desperate plea grinding against the darkness closing in. Adam's heart sank. Those words pierced through the absurdity of the night. He had to reach Sarah. But how? Come on. David pulled at Adam's arm, the shadows just yards away now. We have to go. But Adam hesitated, sweat trickling down his back. If Mark was right, if they were coming for Sarah, then they all had to face the nightmare head-on. Help is on the way, Adam murmured, stepping away reluctantly, a feeling of dread settling in his gut. But will it be enough? As the sirens encroached, and Mark's face grew pale in the approaching darkness, Adam knew this fight was only beginning. What truths lay behind those whispers? What darkness was threatening to swallow them whole? With resolve firming in his heart, Adam turned to follow David, glancing back only once at the man he once viewed simply as Sarah's brother, now a tragic figure wrapped in the threads of despair. There were answers to be found, and they lay buried in the shadows that had whispered threats all along. Would he be ready to uncover them? And as they bolted down the street, Adam felt the urgent questions burning in his chest. Who had taken Sarah? And what price would he pay to get her back? The night air felt thick and electric as Adam and David sprinted away from the chaos that had been unleashed. The pounding of their footsteps against the pavement mixed with the distant screams and the wailing of sirens. Each sound nestled deeper in Adam's mind, knotting his stomach tighter with every stride. Where do we go? David's voice broke through the disorienting noise, his breath ragged. We need a plan. We can't just run. Adam, his mind racing, struggled to focus. We need to get to my place. I have some gear there, flashlights, maybe a way to communicate something. But even as he said it, doubt flickered through him. What if that wouldn't be enough? The shadows still lurked behind them, their presence felt more than seen, an almost tangible weight in the cold air. Every few moments, Adam would glance over his shoulder, half expecting a dark figure to appear. The men Mark had sensed, the ones that whispered threats, were they coming for them, too? A flicker of movement caught his eye. The nurse. She had emerged from the crowd, breathless yet resolute, catching up to them. Wait! She gasped, one hand raised. I'm coming with you. David shot Adam a look, uncertainty etched on his face. Do you trust her? David asked, skidding to a stop, his stance defensive. I don't know. But she was there, doing something she might know how to help. Adam yelled back, pulse pounding. The nurse caught her breath. I'm Dr. Elena. I've seen things, felt things tonight. Isn't just an accident. Mark knew something about those men. Whatever they're involved in, it's deeper than any of us realized. Adam felt the weight of her words settle over him like an ominous fog. What do you mean? What did you see? Elena glanced back nervously, ensuring no one was trailing them. I saw symbols. On the walls of the room where Sarah was taken. They worship something. Something dark. They don't just want her, they want her for a specific reason. Shock rippled through him like ice water. What kind of reason? But before she could answer, a loud shout erupted behind them. Hey! Stop! You can't run. Adam's heart jumped as he faced the source of the voice, one of the shadowy figures from before, now breaking from the darkness. His features came into light, revealing eyes filled with a frenzy Adam had never expected to see in someone he once thought of as an ally. Troy. David's voice was barely a whisper, confusion morphed into dread. Get back! Troy yelled, advancing closer, his breath heavy with anger and fear. You don't know what you're getting involved in. They'll kill you if you don't stop. Adam's pulse quickened. You can't just warn us and expect us to turn back. Mark is hurt. Sarah is gone. Troy burst out, eyes wild. You think you can save her? You have no idea what you're up against. Elena stepped forward, her voice steadier. And you do. You know, Troy. You need to help us instead of no. Troy shot back, almost frantic. You don't understand. You can't go back to that place. They can't be stopped once they have your scent. The reality of his words sunk in, making Adam's breaths shallow. Whatever held them back wasn't just fear, it was something much darker. He glanced at David, who looked just as lost, fear locking their gazes, raw with desperation. We can't let them take her, Adam finally said. Not without knowing the truth. As Troy hesitated, the shadows stirred once more behind him, breathing menace into the air. We're running out of time, Troy warned, knowing just as well the urgency that lay heavy on all their shoulders. With every second, the weight of the night pressed closer, trapping them in a game they never chose to play. Adam felt the suffocating grip of fear as he weighed his options. Was saving Sarah worth this fight? Or would it only lead to their own undoing? The night was still young, and the answers they sought danced just out of reach. But the price of ignorance was growing steeper. Adam clenched his fists, determination replacing doubt as he stared down the choices that sprawled in front of him, and then he heard it again, a whisper. Wrapped in darkness. Come find us, the voice echoed in his ears, a haunting siren-esque song drawing him closer to the abyss. What lay in that darkness? Would they dare to uncover it, or would they, too, be swallowed whole? Troy's eyes darted back toward the shadows, his breath hitching. You don't understand. They come for you. They smell fear. Adam felt his heart race. The sensation of dread clamped down around his throat like a vice. Then we fight them. The conviction in his voice surprised even him. David shook his head, panic clear in his expression. We can't just charge into the dark. We need a plan. Do you have something better? Adam snapped. As they argued, the whispers returned, sinking into the edges of Adam's sanity. A spectral chorus tugging at the corners of reason, promising knowledge but dripping with malice. The darkness was alive, not just lurking but hungry. Elena's hand clutched Adam's arm, grounding him. We have to find out what they want with Sarah. The symbols, they mean something. What if it's death? Troy spat, desperation struggling against his authority. What if you walk in there and never come out? Adam stood tall, his determination jagged against the raw energy crackling in the air. Then at least we'll go down fighting. We owe her that much. The sirens wailed louder, a stark reminder of reality closing in. They couldn't think this through forever. Troy hesitated, but he could see the steel in Adam's gaze. If you insist on this, he muttered, then you need to know more. I've seen what they do to those they take. They're not just men, they have power. It's not human. It's older than anything you can imagine. A chill swept through the group. What do you mean? Adam asked, the stakes shifting beneath his feet. The rituals, they open doors. The dark things behind those doors don't want to be found. They use fear, pain behind him, shadows twisted, flickering light revealing shapes that lurked just out of sight. Adam turned, heart pounding, feeling the fear leak through his confidence. We don't have much time, Elena urged, her grip still firm. If Troy is right, we need to find a way to disrupt whatever they're planning. Disrupt it? How? David asked, voice thick with a mix of desperation and disbelief. There's a way to break the symbols, to bind what they worship. I know how, Elena replied quickly, her intensity growing. But we must act before the moon reaches its peak. It's already almost there, Adam reminded her, glancing at the sky, where the amber glow of the moon seemed to pulse like a beating heart, marking their dwindling time. What if they're waiting for us? Troy urged, fear mingling with urgency. It's a trap. Elena pulled out her phone, the light illuminating the base of the street lamp flickering above them. "We'll have to split up. I can go get the supplies we'll need from the clinic. It'll be quicker. You guys head back to the old school. That's where the symbols were drawn." "No way," David countered instantly, shaking his head violently. "We can't let you go alone. If I take the car, it'll be faster." Elena argued back. "Yeah, but you'll put yourself right in their path." Troy shouted, the tension snapping like a tight wire about to break. Adam stepped forward, trying to pierce through their chaos. "Let her go. She has to. We have to trust her. It's our best shot." As silence grasped them, the tension felt like a physical barrier. Was trusting her worth the risk? But as those shadows danced closer, doubt evaporated. "Fine," David relented, his voice barely above a whisper, shaking his head in defeat. "Just stay alert," Troy added, shooting Adam a look full of desperation and fear. "Always," Adam promised, though inside he felt the tremble of unease. Elena gave a curt nod and started moving away. "Keep your phones ready. I'll be back as fast as I can." As she slipped into the darkness, Adam felt a swell of foreboding. They were too close to the edge of something monstrous. The shadows seemed to pulse with a life of their own, coaxing the fear from the depths of their hearts. The voice came again, sharper this time. "Come find us," but this time, it felt less like a haunting and more like a threat. What awaited them in the school? Would they uncover the truth or lose themselves to a darkness they could not comprehend? As they turned to face the approaching shadows, Adam steeled himself for the actions they would have to take. They had a decision to make: charge ahead into the abyss or retreat and lose everything. The air thickened, charged with thunderous uncertainty. The chilling promise of the chase lay ahead. What secrets would unfold next? The moment Elena vanished into the night, a palpable silence settled over Adam, Troy, and David. An invisible weight pressed down on their chests, making it hard to breathe. Each heartbeat echoed in the stillness, a reminder of how close they were to the edge. "Let us go," Adam whispered, his voice barely rising above the sound of the wind, almost as if saying it too loudly would awaken the shadows. Troy nodded, albeit reluctantly, and they turned their backs to the darkness where Elena had disappeared. As they moved toward the old school, the road felt like a passage into peril. Adam's instinct screamed at him to run. The air thickened further, and with it, the whispers returned fainter this time but more insistent. "Come find us." It wasn't just a voice, it was a sensation, a dread wrapping around his mind like a vine squeezing tighter with every step. "Can you hear that?" David's voice trembled, his gaze darting around as if he expected something malignant to spring from the shadows. "Focus. We can't let them get to you," Adam said, trying to shake off the feeling of dread creeping through him. He felt responsible now. He had to keep his friends from succumbing to the abnormalities that hung in their atmosphere like a fog. The old school loomed ahead, its shuttered windows masking whatever terrors might be lurking inside. Once a place of laughter and education, now it stood as a gateway to something far darker. Broken glass glimmered like jagged teeth against the sidewalk. Troy paused, turning to look at Adam. "What do we actually expect to find? You think the symbols will have some magic solution?" "Maybe they do. Maybe it's the key to saving Sarah," Adam replied, though uncertainty gnawed at him. "We have to try." As they stepped into the schoolyard, the air shifted. The wind howled through the cracks, sending shivers down their spines. An eerie hum filled the space, like a discordant melody that pulled at the edge of reality. They stayed close, hearts racing, hands clenched tightly by their sides. Adam pushed the heavy door open, its creak slicing through the silence. The dark hallway welcomed them like a mouth waiting to swallow them whole. Shadows swayed against the walls, and with each breath, the palpable energy of the place filled the air. "Over there," David whispered, pointing to the flickering light of what looked like a candle down the hall. They edged closer, each cautious footfall reverberating in the stillness. The closer they got, the more the whispers intensified, swirling around them like a storm of voices. Adam felt bile rise in his throat. The spectral promises twisted in the air a mix of curiosity and terror. "Hurry!" Troy hissed, glancing over his shoulder, as if he could sense unseen eyes watching them. As they reached the candle, the surroundings became clearer. The symbols were etched into the floor in a chaotic dance of lines and arcs. They glowed faintly, a sickly greenish hue that pulsed as if alive. Adam felt an urge to be wary, an instinct that this was a trap, a lure to drag them deeper into darkness. "What are those?" David whispered, shaking his head in disbelief. "I don't know, but they're not just for show," Adam replied, kneeling next to one of the symbols, his heart thrumming louder. This is the work of something ancient." From behind them, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The echo swallowed the room, and the candle flickered violently. Panic surged as they whirled around, realizing in an instant they were no longer alone. Figures cloaked in darkness emerged from the shadows, eyes shimmering with menace. "You've come to find them," one whispered, its voice wrapping around them like a cold hand. Fear curled tight in Adam's stomach. They were here. They had to act. But in that breath, everything fell into chaos. Would they find the truth, or were they simply bait for a darker purpose? The flickering around them quickened, shadows swirling, tightening, and they took their first step deeper into the unknown. What would they discover or lose when they faced the truth of what lay ahead? The shadows advanced, a wave of darkness pooling at their feet, wrapping around their ankles as if trying to pull them into the depths of an abyss. Adam's heart raced, adrenaline flooding his system. He had never felt fear like this. Every instinct told him to escape, to run back into the safety of the fading light outside, but they had made a promise to Elena. They would not abandon her, not now. "What do we do?" Troy's voice broke through the chaos, a ragged whisper laced with panic. "Stay together." Adam shouted, feeling the weight of uncertainty press down heavier across his shoulders. "If we stick together, we'll figure this out." The figures cloaked in darkness shifted closer, their forms indistinct yet distinctly ominous. Their eyes glimmered like dying embers, solidifying their positions. "You shouldn't have come here," one murmured, each word wrapping around Adam like ice. Before he could respond, one of the cloaked figures stepped forward, its face still hidden, but a cold voice rang out. "To save the girl, you must confront the truth." Suddenly, the symbols on the floor expanded, the green hue intensifying, urging Adam closer. A visceral pull captured him, the urge to reach out and touch the markings. Perhaps they held something vital. Tension crackled in the air around them like static electricity. "Don't!" Troy shouted, grabbing Adam's arm just before he could step forward. "What if it's a trap?" "We're already trapped," David countered, eyes wide with terror. "We need to know. We have to get Elena back." The struggle within Adam grew between rational fear and the desperate need to embark on this dangerous path in search of answers. A flame of determination ignited inside him. "I have to know if this will save her," he said, brushing Troy's hand away. As he forced himself to breathe steadily, he closed his eyes, blocking out the whispering voices that swirled around him. The words in the air began to coalesce, encircling his thoughts. They spoke of betrayal, of hidden truths that manipulated love and loyalty. A darkness spread under the surface of friendship. "Open your eyes," one of the figures demanded, and Adam felt an invisible force pulling at his consciousness. He stumbled but kept his ground. "What do you want from us?" Adam demanded, fueled by anger. He opened his eyes, glaring at the specters before him. "To remember," the voice echoed, shivering through the room, "to remember those you lost." Suddenly, scenes flickered to life around them, visions of the past intertwined with their memories, like a montage of moments that haunted them. David's eyes widened in recognition. "Sarah, that's her." He gasped as her laughter echoed from the past, a soft melody laced with nostalgia. But the laughter twisted, turning sharp and hollow. What was once joyous morphed into screams of despair. Adam felt their foundations tremble. This place was not merely haunted, it was saturated with regret. "Why show us this?" Troy shouted, hands tightening into fists at his sides. The figures drew closer, and one spoke softly, "You can't save her unless you confront what you've buried." The fervent glow of the symbols intensified, swallowing them in luminescent light, and Adam felt as if he was being drawn into a memory, a full dive into their history, past friendships marred by misunderstandings, feuds, and guilt. Familiar faces veiled in shadows whispered accusations, throwing their past decisions back in their faces. "Stop it!" Adam yelled, struggling against the pull, desperation clawing at his throat. "We didn't ask for this." "Exactly." The figures hissed, their eyes blaring brightly. "You've been running from the truth." Amidst the gathering shadows, the tension became unbearable. Truths that had long festered now demanded to be recognized. What lie hidden could turn the tide in their battle against the mounting darkness? The symbols flared into blinding light, and Adam felt as if he was being torn apart, each ounce of his fear, regret, and sorrow laid bare before him. Because now, they faced not simply a battle for survival, but a deeper reckoning, with a last flicker. The world around them dissolved, leaving only the harrowing weight of revelation hanging dangerously in the air. What were the truths they had avoided, and could they face them for the sake of those they loved? The buzz of light faded, melting into darkness thicker than a storm cloud. Adam's breath hitched in his throat as the air filled with a suffocating silence. He squinted, trying to discern any familiar shapes in the shadows that swirled around him. The figures were gone, replaced by an empty void that seemed to pulse and breathe with malevolence. Where did they go?" Troy whispered harshly, panic lacing his voice. "I don't know," Adam replied, feeling the weight of vulnerability settle onto his chest like an anchor. "But we can't split up. Not now." David's eyes flickered, wild with unfinished anger and despair. "They showed us our pasts. Our mistakes. What does it mean?" "It means," Adam struggled to gather his thoughts, searching the depths of his mind, "it means we have to confront it. Whatever it is." The echoes of their past flickered menacingly at the edges of his consciousness, shadows taunting him with half-remembered moments, laughter, arguments, unfinished conversations. And then a dark figure, a youth with a smile that could light up a room, flickered through his mind, Josh. A terrible jolt shot through him. "Josh!" Adam gasped, realization hitting him like a wave. "It's because of him that night." "What night?" Troy asked, dread sharpening his features, as if the question alone was an omen. "The accident. We didn't know the truth. We just left it buried." The sharp edge of guilt sliced through his heart, flooding him with a sense of urgency. "If we don't unearth it now, we might lose Elena." The ground trembled beneath them. An unseen force seemed to compel Adam to move forward. With no rational thought left to hold him back, he stepped into the thin veil of darkness. Light flickered again, illuminating fragmented scenes of their friendship, a campfire, laughter echoing, the crack of a bottle hitting the pavement that night. "Adam! Don't!" Troy's voice rang through the gloom, but it felt distant, as if coming from a lifetime away. The campfire melted away, and Adam stumbled into a new memory, voices rising in argument, his own hands shaking with rage, the weight of blame separating him from Josh like iron bars. "Why didn't you say anything?" He shouted at the specter of his younger self, standing frozen with regret etched into his features. "This is tearing us apart." The shadows shifted. The cloaked figures returned, their presence engulfing the room, whispering in a cacophony of disapproval and mockery. "You created this divide. You chose silence over truth. How does that help her?" Adam felt his body tighten, caught between the undeniable past and the frantic present where Elena's life teetered on a cliff's edge. "No. This isn't about us anymore," he cried, desperate for the echoes of support he once had. "It's about saving her." In the depths of that despair, Adam remembered Elena's radiant smile, her laughter that echoed with hope. Maybe, just maybe, if he could just unearth the truth hidden in darkness, it could save them all. He took a deep breath, steeling himself against the torrent of shadows that pressed down on him, and shouted into the void. "Show me. show me what I need to confront. For a moment, the shadows recoiled as if struck, and silence enveloped them like a soft blanket, suffocating yet fragile. Then, the symbols on the floor began to pulse, the green light swirling, forming an intricate pattern like a map to buried secrets. I can't do this alone, he pleaded, his heart racing as he turned to his friends. We have to do this together. The walls shook, a spine-chilling roar seemingly protesting their rallying cry. But a sliver of hope pierced the darkness. Perhaps together they could confront the truth that lay in wait. Then, just as suddenly, reality lurched again. A new vision emerged, old yet painfully fresh. Elena's piercing gaze filled with confusion. Why didn't you trust me? The question hung heavy in the air. Adam's heart raced. What lay at the heart of their unraveling? And would deciphering the past pave the way for their future? As shadows closed in, the room transformed into a battleground between the light of revelation and the dark of obscurity. Would they muster the courage to face their deepest fears or be swallowed whole by the very darkness they hoped to escape? Something was coming, a revelation hidden in the depths of their souls, and it threatened to shatter everything they thought they knew. What would they find when truth finally emerged? The room stilled, a pregnant silence hanging over them as the symbols emitted a dim glow, illuminating Adam's resolve. He took a step forward, drawing on every bit of courage left in his weakened heart. We need to remember, to confront everything we've buried. It's the only way. Troy's eyes darted between the tantalizing truth captured in the glowing markers and the encroaching shadows that still trembled with anticipation. What if it only makes things worse? We've waited long enough, what's done is done. No. Adam's voice rang out, cutting through the tension. Elena's counting on us. We can't let our past mistakes dictate our future. With renewed strength, Adam gripped each friend's arm, pulling them close. Together. If we face this, we can change the outcome. As if responding to their unified determination, the darkness recoiled slightly, the whispers losing steam as the symbols flared brighter. Let us do it, David finally agreed, teeth gritted with a mix of fear and resolve. Adam led them to the nearest symbol, kneeling beside it, where faint echoes of their shared history whispered in between breaths. We can't shy away. We confront what we avoided for too long. We lift the veil of silence. The moment he placed his hand over the symbol, an electric pulse shot through him, and scenes began to flicker into view. Images of a night long forgotten, familiar faces, laughter, but also tension that hung thick in the air. The accident. The fallout. Words left unsaid. He gasped as Adam's younger self appeared, confronting Josh with unresolved resentment. You think you want to forget, but it can't be buried. We have to forgive. Suddenly, shadows twisted aggressively, seeming to morph into the embodiment of Adam's pain. You don't get to forget the hurt. They bellowed, voices merging into a cacophony. Forgiveness doesn't mean absolving guilt, it means letting go, Adam shouted, breaking free from the relentless pull of regret that threatened to drag him back. Then, all at once, the room vibrated with a response, an engulfing wave of memories crashing over them. Remember the night, what he told you. The rush of visuals painted the truth, the night of the accident, Josh's phone call that Adam didn't bother to answer, the fight they shared just days prior. He needed you. Adam fell back, the weight of his choices crashing down. But instead of sinking, he rallied, the fire of determination igniting anew. That's it. We couldn't change what happened, but we can choose healing over despair now. Then came a piercing cry, a voice echoing from nowhere and everywhere. You will lose her if you don't act. David, his voice strained with urgency, pointed. What is happening? The shadows, they're closing in. Face them. Adam ordered, stepping back up. Only then can we break this cycle. They concentrated on the glow of the symbols, pulling strength from the bonds they forged in the crucible of fear and love. The figures murkily advanced, their shapes distorting and shifting ominously. Face our mistakes. Adam called out, his voice gaining volume and clarity. We can show them we will rise. With each declaration, the symbols erupted beams of blinding light that enclosed them, illuminating their connection. We are more than our failures. They shouted, voices intermingling as the shadows recoiling beneath the power of their truth. Suddenly, a shimmer burst forth, revealing Elena at the center of it all, struggling yet resolute. I didn't ask for a savior. I just needed you to see me. Then we will see you, all of you. Adam cried out, the realization illuminating within him. You were always there, guiding us, challenging us. We can bring back our sister, friend, together. He thrust his hands forward, the light expanding, illuminating every corner of their grief and fear, dissolving walls that kept their love distorted. The darkness only wailed, a chilling sound that trembled in desperation as Adam felt the surge of unity wash over them. They weren't just fighting for Sarah, not even for themselves, but for each other. The darkness shrank, faltered, its holds loosened by the unwavering heart of their bond. This ends now. Adam thundered, holding fast to his friends as they pushed against the encroaching shadows, determination numbing fear. The symbols then erupted with energy, bursting forth a cascade of light, confronting the darkness head-on, dispersing it as each friend embraced their shared past, their truths, and their love. With a final scream and flash of light, the room erupted into a brilliant, blinding glow, and then silence. The stillness felt thick, charged with an electric anticipation. One by one, the three stood, breathing hard, looking around as the darkness had shattered, revealing a familiar hallway illuminated in warm light. Elena? Adam called out, voice cracking with worry. An echo returned, as he turned toward the end of the corridor, where a soft light pulsed like a heartbeat. Guys! They rushed to each other, hope flickering like the softness of breath beneath the weight of a long dark night behind them. Sarah! And there she was, standing with the shimmer of light surrounding her, holding on to hope. Their hands clasped tightly around each other as they emerged into a newfound resolution. We were waiting for you, she whispered gently, the shadow of a smile gracing her lips. Tears welled within Adam's eyes that glimmered under the light. The warmth of love filled the void they had dug and buried in hurt. We'll never walk in shadows again, he promised, feeling the pulse of something precious settle within their group. One choice had bent them, but through anguish, they found strength. The bond they forged amidst the darkness was now their shield. As they walked hand in hand toward the doorway, the whispers fell silent, replaced with the hum of renewed hope, each step bridging the distance between their love and their truth. They were stronger together. They had faced the darkest of nights together, fought against the shadows, and brought each other back into the light, and as the moon shone down on their reunited embrace, reverberations of hope echoed through the air, a promise of new beginnings and a collective shout of freedom, their voices melding into one, a powerful harmony dispelling what had threatened to tear them asunder. But the journey was not solely theirs. Now, the table had been set. Who among those listening to tales of darkness and light would dare rise to their own truths? Growth demanded freedom. The veil was lifted. The shadows receded. With hearts lighter than they had been in years, Adam turned to face whoever stood behind them. Now, it's your turn, he declared, his voice resolute and strong. Face the darkness, conquer your light. As they stepped forward, they felt it, a tremor of hope electrifying the air. What awaited them was not just a tale of their journey, but a spark waiting in each soul willing to confront their truth. And so began the next chapter, ready to unfold. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately to catch the next exclusive stories and life lessons straight from the heart. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm with your support. Don't wait even one more second, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this electrifying conclusion. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey unfold. The light whispers, let us illuminate the darkness together.